Today on Cooking with Gerry, we're making a raw food salad. Here are the ingredients. I have some spinach, I have 1 carrot, 1 beetroot, this is purple cabbage. Here I have 1 piece of turmeric, and here in this jar, soaking in water for a few hours now, I have 2.5 pecans that I broke up into smaller pieces, about 15 pistachios. I took the shell off, and then about a tablespoon each of pumpkin seed and sunflower seed. I washed them, drained them, and I put them in this little jar with water earlier this morning. So this is going to be my lunch for today. And here I have 1 cheese grater or vegetable grater. You can probably see a few days ago I made a similar salad grating the turmeric and turmeric stains. When I made an infused oil a couple weeks ago, it took almost a week for the yellow-orange stain to come off my fingers. So I am going to use only the turmeric with this grater, and yesterday I was in the city and I found this one that I can use for the other vegetables because this one doesn't work as well as I want to. It's just not as efficient as the other ones. So I haven't tried this yet. I washed it already, and it's convenient because it fits comfortably in my hand, and when I grate the vegetables, sometimes the little pieces of veggie will fly off. So I think this will help to contain any flying bits of vegetables, and it's also convenient that it has a lid to close it and minimize spoiling by way of oxygen and air getting to it. So I am going to wash, I've already washed the spinach, but I'm probably going to use 1/4 wedge of the cabbage, and I'll use the entire beetroot and carrot. And about a week ago I started experimenting by leaving the skin on of certain vegetables. I read that you can leave the skin on, and there's also a lot of healthy nutritional value in the skin, as well as these vegetables. And I have a scouring sponge that I use only for the vegetables, and I have another one that I use for washing plates and pots and pans, etc. So I've been trying because from what I've read, the skin of the vegetable has value. And if it looks okay, as far as not being too spoiled, I think it's a good idea to eat it. And my system has reacted really well as far as not sensing any negative anything by including the skin and not peeling it. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll come back. You don't need to see me, I don't think, grate all these vegetables. It's a fairly simple process. So we'll come back when I'm done this part, and we'll put the salad together. Okay, back, and everything has been prepared. I didn't use the grater for the spinach. I just chopped it with a knife. And when you're grating, sometimes you can't get right to the end, so those little end pieces, same thing with a knife, I chopped them up into smaller pieces. This is the turmeric that I grated. I didn't want to add it into the bowl because I think it might stain the plastic bowl. If it was a glass bowl, I don't think there would be a problem. But I prefer not to stain this bowl. So here I have, but first of all I made a mistake. I said 5 pecans, 2.5 pecans, but it's actually 2.5 walnuts, not the pecans. And I forgot to mention in the first segment, there will be a variety show after we're done the food segment. It's another massage tool, very useful for the health of the spine, and you can use it for other massage areas. I'll put a video at the end of how to use it. Also, to let you know that when I was making the first segment of this variety show, the camera battery went dead after about 7 minutes, I think. 12 minutes. So you're going to miss the last part, but it's not important because you'll be able to see what the process is. So let's get going. Here I have some coarse grain pink salt. I am going to put 3 pinches. And here I have extra virgin olive oil, a nice quantity of that, over a tablespoon. And I have also now, after going to the city yesterday, extra virgin coconut oil. So just a little bit of that. When I made this similar salad a few days ago, I put half a can of mackerel as my protein and fat source. So let's mix this up a little bit. Now, why to have raw food instead of cooked food? Excuse me. Because raw food has more nutritional value. Whenever a food is cooked, some of that benefit that you could otherwise receive from the food gets damaged. When you have food that's raw, you're keeping all the nutrition that's available in the plant. Eating raw meat, I really don't know how to do that, and you would want to be very careful. But raw vegetables will be great for your, well, specifically your intestine, your gut. The gut flora loves the raw vegetables, and I'm learning more and more as I dive into this health stuff that the health of the gut flora, sometimes called the gut microbiome, is really important for overall health. So you can consider that you're not necessarily eating this for you, you're eating it for your gut. And the healthier your gut is, the healthier you will be. So, if you don't know much about the gut microbiome, there is a lot of information on the internet. So there's the salad all mixed up, and there's lots of other items you can put in the salad. Zucchini is okay, I think, raw. Other squash like pumpkin, cucumber, and all those lettuce, romaine lettuce, iceberg lettuce, radicchio. And you can switch up the seeds and the nuts. You can add leftover meat. The information I'm receiving is it's better to minimize the amount of meat, chicken, pork that's in your food menu. You could even put grated coconut, grated cheese, whatever kind of oil you like. I'm learning to avoid the vegetable oil like the soybean, canola, corn oil, peanut oil, safflower, even sunflower seed oil I've stopped using since I've received this extra information. So there we go. I'm going to put a little bit in my plate or a bowl, probably more specific, and lots of awesome colors. Really good to change up the vegetables that you use to give your body different kinds of nutrition. And I'm going to use half of the turmeric because that'll be the second bowl. This kind of raw food, I feel really light afterwards compared to, say, if I have a heavy meal of beans, grains. Pasta really makes my stomach feel heavy. So this will be really quick to digest, and the quicker that the food can travel through your system, the quicker the waste will be removed, which is another important consideration for the health of your gut microbiome. So this is my lunch. I'm probably going to eat all of it. I don't have a big enough bowl, and I didn't want to put the turmeric into this bowl, so I'll sit with this plate and then come back for seconds. And now let's go to the variety show. Today's cement project is very easy as far as cement projects go. A little bit of background. Here is one I made for myself about 5 years ago. A small diameter PVC tube, and I used a thick but soft piece of rope to wrap around it to soften how it affects my body and bones when I use it. And I've used some plastic coated wire to hold the rope to the PVC, and here is plastic elastic kind of rope, not really rope. I was using it to support my tomato plants, to tie them to a piece of wood when they had the fruit on them, and also it helps to keep the rope together. And the same thing on the other side. I didn't fill it with cement because it was strong enough. It is strong enough. It's the same thickness, a little bit thicker actually, but because it's smaller, it's a lot stronger. Here's another one I have. I travel with it. It's about half the height or length of a regular one, a foam roller. It's light to travel with, but it's big and it takes up space in the suitcase, but very useful. Here's another one I have. I use for different things. I was also using it for exercise, lying back on it. This was scrap that I found the last place I was living at. Very useful. It's got a few cobwebs. That's okay. So here's the one we're going to do today. You can see it's hollow, and I have put these extra wires to try and make it round. It's a leftover piece of something. I don't know what it was used for beforehand, but I washed it, cleaned it. I put tape over some pre-existing holes so that the cement doesn't go through, and these wires, I just tried to tighten them as much as I could, hoping that it would get the tube round again. And it's not perfectly round, but it's good enough. And I have some masking tape on this end because I am going to pour the cement in this way, and just a plastic bag to contain the liquid that's probably going to come out of the bottom. Here I have some rocks that I have been soaking in water for about 2 hours. I think it's important that the rocks get some time in the water, because otherwise they could suck too much water out of the fresh cement too quickly, which would make the new concrete weaker. So they've been in here. I am hoping that because of these rocks I will need less cement, because at the moment I don't have a lot of cement. Here's my cement. Here is the cement I had was from an old bag and it wasn't stored properly. So here is what I was able to do as far as hammering the clumps of cement powder that wouldn't turn back into powder. And this has been sitting in water, not a lot of water, just enough to moisten the little pebbles of cement dust. And I'm going to use it basically as filler because it's not very strong. The most important parts, plural, are the end pieces, because those will be exposed to the outside, and the people I'm giving it to, 2 friends, I'll be seeing them at some point. This will need at least 2 days. I'll leave it to dry. I have a level platform right beside the camera. I will leave it set for 2 days, and then maybe 5 days later I will bring it to show them and teach them how to use it. And I think I also will do a video of how to use it in case you're interested. It's really helpful for managing the spine. I have been practicing yoga for 22 years, and I've been exercising for more than 40 years. And there's a saying that I learned a long time ago. It puts a lot of importance into perspective about the spine. And the saying goes, you're only as young as your spine is flexible. So what that means in more words is you could be 20 years old, but if your spine is in bad shape, you might move like a 70-year-old. And you can be 70 years old, and if you've taken care of your spine, invested the time to keep it strong, supple, flexible, then a 70-year-old can still move like a 25-year-old. It also takes a bit of luck because life provides accidents and trauma, which can also affect the health of the spine. So, that's enough background. Let's get started. First is going to go in the cement, which is about 3 parts cement, 1 part sand. I want it to be fairly strong and minimal concrete dust that's going to come off, because if it's used on a yoga mat, I don't want my friends to have concrete dust always to brush off their yoga mat. So here in this bucket is the cement, 3 parts and about 1 part sand. That's going to go on the ends and also in between as a glue to hold these other 2. So I am going to put just enough to cover the opening, and I'll make sure it's flat. I am going to put 1 more because I don't want the stones, if possible, I don't want it to fall all the way. I would prefer to have a nice clean cement concrete end. So now I put 1 rock. I'll put a flat one in, hoping that it doesn't fall and exit. And here is some of the filler. I'll put a little bit of this. A little bit more cement. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's just I want to make this stronger because I tried it and it does collapse a little bit, and over time it will become more oval than round, and I prefer that not to happen. Some more of the filler. have this rebar to kind of poke it to make sure there are no empty spaces. I think I can put a little bit more filler. There we go. And a little bit more cement, I think, is necessary. Poking it again. There we go. Another piece of rock. There's a little space. I'll put a little rock in that space. There we go. A little bit more cement. A little bit more filler. Now if you have good cement, you don't need to use the filler. Just make cement and add rock. But I wanted to use this otherwise unusable old cement dust so that it didn't have to go in the garbage. And let's use this one. There's a space on the side. Let me get a small one, small two. There we go, some more cement. This actually, I thought it could be used in, it'll have more than one purpose. It'll be also a weight. It'll be weight resistant. I'm not sure how much it'll weigh, but at least a few kilos, maybe even up to 5 kilos. Good for training the smaller muscle groups and good for balance work, mind-brain connection. I'm not sure if I have enough cement made. I hope I do. We're about here now. My apologies that the previous segment got cut off, but you saw the process. I didn't in the end have enough cement to completely fill the tube, which turned out to be a good thing. I was about 1 centimeter short from reaching flush with the top, and I noticed after about an hour that I was letting it sit on the level platform that the cement sunk a little bit. So I used a pair of scissors and just knocked all around on the sides, and I saw one big air bubble come up and a few other bubbles, and then it dropped about another centimeter. So after about 4 hours I decided that the cement was no longer going to drop, and I made some more cement, and I needed about 2.5 tablespoons of cement to make it flush. And then I let it sit on the counter for a couple of days, and then I removed those wires you saw in the previous segment. And it's been about 5 days since I made it, so the cement is now solid. And what I will probably do, I have this piece of a towel, and this is good compared to another kind of towel that has a folded over hem, because I want the rolling back and forth to be smooth. And with some strong gray tape, I will put it somehow onto the tube. A piece of tape here, and then I'll just roll it, holding it tight, and then I will cover the entire tube with this piece of towel, just to provide a bit of softness. So now how to use it. It's very similar. You can see behind me I have some exercise toys. I've made some dumbbells, and there's a barbell behind you can't see, with cement and various plastic bottles and various handles. Inside each handle I have also put some iron reinforcement, just small diameter bars to help keep it strong and be able to support the weight on either side. And this one is covered in a plastic bag because it's a very weak combination of cement and too much sand that was given to me by a worker who was building a wall, and he had that leftover cement mixture that I used to make similar to a kettlebell. So let's do a few things with this. So lying back onto a mat or a suitable floor surface that you have, and one of the best things to do is to put it right here in the small of your back, and it just releases a lot of tension. If you find that your bum can't reach the ground, then you can use a book, or here I have a thin yoga block. This one here is a bit thicker. I would put this here under so that I'm raising the floor and I can relax a lot more as I lie back. And you might find after 2 or 3 or 5 minutes that your back has released enough that you can try and go all the way to the ground. Always trying to be gentle with any stretching routine. And if you just stay here for a few minutes, you can also do awareness of your abdominal. You can do abdominal massage. And when you're going to roll, if you don't have a tight fitting shirt, you kind of need to hold on to the material of the shirt or lift up the material so that it's not underneath, because otherwise it'll roll underneath the tube. And then just vertebrae by vertebrae, seeing how much tension you have in your spine, and just stopping at any point along the spine that you feel extra stress. You feel some kind of block, you can rock gently back and forth. When you're in this position right here, you need to be careful of the floating ribs, which are right about here. Don't move, twist too much to one side or the other, because you could damage your floating ribs. And then you can just slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, taking your time to do this. Maybe you want to put some nice gentle music on, and you can come all the way to the top. And then what I like to do, I take my head into my hands, and then I just lift my head up. If I bring my elbows together, I widen the space between my vertebrae, my spine, and my shoulder blades, and I can massage the muscles that are between the spine and shoulder blades, going up and down. I feel, and it's been many years, I have a lot more tension on the right side. So with various massage balls, the peanut that I showed you at the oh no, that was a different video. A massage peanut, really helpful, or just a thick rubber ball, or even a tennis ball or a foam ball, depending on how much stress you have. And you can just take your time. Right here is a really great position for opening up the chest and bringing the shoulders backwards. And if you want, you can roll yourself back up to the beginning slowly. And you can always end off where you began and lifting up your hips to remove the tube. If you don't want to make something with cement and you have the money available, this one was, I think, $24 Canadian at a fitness store. The full length ones, they range from between 20 and 40. The 20 being the least expensive, and the one that will be much easier to get indentation. And the $40 one is basically similar to this, a very heavy, dense foam. And I presume this will last me a long time. There is one imperfection right here, a place I was staying at a year ago, an animal farm. And I'm pretty sure it was a critter when I had this hanging overnight on a nail. A critter came and he was curious, or she, what it was, and luckily didn't find it appetizing enough to continue chewing. But a foam roller, very useful. And also with this and the foam roller, you can do massage on specific muscles, going back and forth, for example, on the muscle at the top of the legs, and then you can go all the way down. It depends on where you might have a problem area, or maybe a specific trauma, or you just want to release the muscles after a workout. So there we go. There are some ways you can use this kind of tube or a foam roller. This other one that you see, the taller one, I was using it as a bench for exercising, but then I made myself a bench, so I no longer need to use that, but I will use it sometimes for stretching. Different things you can do if you can lie back completely on the tube. So just some suggestions for you to help with the health and flexibility and strength of your spine, which is important, especially as the years go by. So thanks for watching, and that salad I made earlier today, about an hour and a half ago, was delicious. We'll do another one tomorrow with different vegetables. And I found anchovies packed in a brine at the store in the city, so I want to try that. So that'll be for tomorrow's video, and that's when we'll see each other next.